this is going to be video number 2 of today. So as I was saying in the previous week, that we're going to go into a bit of a clash discussion. So what I brought up for a topic is basically because in Hearthstone, going into this new standard, I really think that the new standard format, which is going to be coming out after the Old Gods expansion, is essentially a lot of the aggro OTK, I'm going to hit you in the face a million times classes are going to be debuffed a little bit. So for one big example, let's just dive into one that's pretty obvious, Mech Mage. So you're not going to be seeing anything more like a double Mech Warper. You're not going to be seeing Snow Chugger. Piloted Sky Golems going out. Piloted Shredders going out. Thank the Lord. Holy crap. And a lot of the Death Rattle guys. So, Haunted Creepers. There's just so much that's going to be beneficial from having Nax Rammus and GVG pushed out. That control, mid-range, and kind of healing decks are going to be something viable coming into the new standard format. So, obviously, with this coming in, what do you think would be the better of the two classes? The Paladin or the Priest? So let's just dive into my little collection. So now I know that I don't have every single card known to man. Unfortunately, I don't have the League of Explorers done yet. I do have all of BlackRock. I have a lot of TGT and as well as Classic. But for the cards that aren't there, we'll just discuss them and talk about them. So let's jump right into our Paladin. Okay, so Paladin is obviously a very, very well off deck right now. Obviously with Secret Paladin being very strong, it has a lot of great buffs. Like let's go into here. Let's just go into the 4-drop. So even look, so just basically the 4 drops alone in a basic Paladin deck are pretty good. You have Kings, which is an insane buff for 4 mana. You have the combo of Consecration and Equality, which is a really good board clear for 6 mana. Pretty good. Kills everything. Flame Strike for 7 mana usually kills everything, but for 6 mana, this kills everything on their side of the board. So, I mean, yeah, it takes 2 cards, but I mean, it's pretty good. You also have the Hammer of Wrath with the 3 mana card draw. I mean, 3 damage card draw. Pretty good as well. Now, to get back into the healing, right here is probably one of our biggest culprits of the every Paladin class has deck. So right here is Mr. Truesilver Champion. Mr. Truesilver Champion is a 4 mana, 4/2 attack, 4 attack, 2 durability, and when you attack, it restores 2 health to your hero. So how good is this? Well, essentially, if you coin this out on turn 3, you will kill 99.95% of everything beforehand, and not really taking that much damage. So while you play these guys out, you play a 1-drop, you play a 2-drop, you play a 4-drop right after you coin this, and if not, play a 3-drop, you coin, it comes your turn 4, you kill his 3 or 4-drop, you have board control. So it's pretty high tempo, and it does a lot of damage, plus the healing aspect, so it allows you to not get too heavy deep in the HP. So for example, would I compare this better to an Arcanite Reaper? Yes, absolutely. It's much better than an Arcanite Reaper. As for a Death's Bite is very, very good. It fits with the warrior deck with, say, like a Frothing Berserker or, for example, Patron Warrior. But the only scary part is that you're taking that face damage and getting nothing back for it. At least with Truesilver Champion, you're getting a heal back. So that's pretty darn good, I'd say. So let's go back to the earlier stages. Okay. So now it's not so much that the card is a heal, but it is in a way because it prevents you taking a lot of heavy damage to the face. So for example, let's go with our Hand of Protection. So Hand of Protection is something that's going to help you survive, because it's not a direct heal to your hero, but it's a heal to your minions, which can kill and trade and essentially take damage as a sponge rather than your hero. Another great one is Humility. When you're versing up against something crazy, like a giant, Dr. Boom, even Deathwing. If you have a Humility, that big scary dragon just turned into a 1/12, just pain in the butt to kill. but he's not really going to be that scary with only one attack. So, I mean, that's another great aspect for the healing thing. A couple other things we have. Obviously, we have Holy Light. This could be compared to Flash Heal what Priest has. I mean, it's one extra mana, but it does an extra set of health, which sometimes 1 HP in a game can really, really go a long way. So it's not too bad. You also have Seal of Light. Again, this one's not too bad. I like to call this the reverse Truesilver. Instead of getting 4 attack, 2 durability, you get 4 health and 2 attack. So, you know, it's kind of a neat, interesting little card. Not super popular, but, you know, it works. You also have Noble Sacrifice. So Noble Sacrifice is probably one of the most annoying anti-aggro cards in the Paladin. Just because, you know, say you have early board and somebody plays a Noble Sacrifice and you're going to clear their minion and you think, you know, oh, everything's all set and safe. But guess what? You ran into this guy, you don't get any damage on the board, your guy took damage, and kinda, if it's in a circumstance played well enough, you just lost the tempo because your guy can't attack again, and he might get a free kill on him. So another decent way to, I guess you could technically say, for the healing aspect. Alrighty. I don't want to go too deep into him. We have Mr. Aldor Peacekeeper. Essentially the same thing as I said before with the humility. Very, very nice in regards to stopping damage to the face. Alright, let's keep on going through. So, Guardian of Kings. Now, this is a card that does not see much play in Constructed, and even in Arena, it's kinda only semi-viable. It has a decent battle cry, I mean, restoring 6 health to your hero at any point, and usually by turn 6 or 7, that heal comes in pretty handy. The only bad thing about this card, obviously, is a 5/6 for 7 mana. That means essentially he's dying to a 6 drop that has good enough stats. Like a Boulder Fist Ogre will kill this guy and still have 2 life left. So he basically becomes a 6 mana 2 for 1 because this guy doesn't really have a lot of things going for him. So unfortunately, that's kind of the sad part. Now let's go into the cards I don't actually have. So for example, another great guy is Eadric the Pure. Now Eadric is a it's basically, I like to call Aldor Peacekeeper on steroids, because he turns the entire board into a bunch of welts where they have 1 attack and they're not really doing much. So again, awesome card. I think he should deserve more gameplay, but again, that's just my own personal opinion. Let's see if I missed anything. Alright, so not really, okay. So let's keep on going back. And that leads us to 2 of the probably most game-changing cards in the Paladin deck, I'd say. So for first, we have Lay on Hands, which is a heal for 8 and draw 3 cards. So that is insane. Especially in the late game when you might be hovering around 12 to 15 health. Healing for 8 and getting over 20 plus in a late game battle is very, very good. Not to mention that, if you play all your cards and you have a bunch of cards in your deck that you need to draw at the time, drawing 3 is pretty nuts. There's not many other cards that you draw 3. The only one I can really think of at the top of my head is Nourish in the Druid class, but then again, you're not getting the heal. So this thing is just absolutely insane. And lastly, I skipped a page, sorry about that. Lastly is Mr. Tyrion Fordring, the Paladin of, basically, yeah, he's pretty much, besides Uther, the #1 Paladin you guys could think of into mind. The Slayer of, essentially, yeah, Arthas the Lich King. So, what does this badass guy have to do? Yeah, he basically says, no, you shall not pass. He takes a crap ton of damage for you, even if you kill him, which is quite hard to do. He's a 6/6, which isn't amazing, but that pesky Divine Shield gives him technically a 12/6 attack, usually what I want to say. So he's going to be a lot of damage on the board. He's going to take a lot of sponging damage, and guess what? When he dies, he gives you a 5/3 weapon. That's insane, and that's probably going to kill off most of the any little minions that did not run into his face, or essentially he plays the next couple turns. So Tyrion Fordring, pretty darn good. Now, if I were to give this Paladin class a healing and essentially defensive aggro, I'm going to give it probably about an 8. an 8 out of 10, because again, you have a lot of Divine Shield action, which helps protect you and sponge damage. You have pretty good heals. You have the heal for 6. You have the heal for 6 from your Guardian of Kings. You have the Lay on Hands. So, I mean, and there's another card in here, obviously I completely forgot about. It's in the League of Explorers. I mean, it's not so much that it's a game winner and really a heal, but turning something into a big, scary 7-drop into a 3/3 with the Keeper of Uldaman is another excellent card. Because, again, it sponges damage. It's not gonna... He's gonna turn your Nefarian, he's gonna turn your Ysera into a 3/3 and then kill it off with a 3-drop. So, essentially, it's a really, really awesome defensive class, which I think is excellent. Do I really like the aggro Paladin? Not so much, because when you think of a Paladin, you want to think of a defensive, a strong, a brick wall almost that you have to fight and knock over to get to. Where aggro Paladin, a little on the boring side, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for this one. Moving on, we are going to jump to our Priest class. So, obviously, Priest probably being my favorite class, as you can tell by my name. So, let's go right into our healing for the Priest. So, Priest essentially is, yeah, it should be the #1 healing class in regards to, yeah, because its healing, its power is to heal stuff. Yeah, pretty good. So, essentially, let's just go into a couple first ones. So, here we have Circle Healing. Now, this obviously does not affect the hero at all. It only responds to the minions on the board of play, and sometimes this can be a very, very, very good card, and a really, really bad card. So, for example, a really good card this would be with is, you trade into all his board, you clear his board, you use Circle Healing, you heal all your guys back up to full health. Wow, that's really awesome. You have full health minions, awesome tempo, really good. Another good example, it's not so much healing, but I mean, it's a board clear, which technically prevents you from getting hurt, is the Arcanine Soul Priest combo. You play Arcanine Soul Priest, you drop this on the board, you essentially do a 4-mana Flame Strike, and you get to keep your Arcanine on the board. Not too bad. Where this is bad. 1, if you don't have any damage minions, it really stinks just taking up a slot in your hand. 2, if he has a bigger guy than you, and you play this, and you heal the bigger guy, that's really kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So, this card is it's a very circumstantial card. It can be very good or be very bad. So, this one, you know, it's okay. It's not too bad. So, over here we have our Flash Heal. Another guy, I think, as I responded earlier to one of the Paladin cards. This one is pretty good. I mean, 1 mana, heal for 5. So again, it's just a nice little heal that if you're trying to save a bigger minion, you want to get yourself out of a lethal situation. And again, it falls under the Arcanine Soul Priest combo, because dealing 5 damage to a minion, I mean, that's just insane. For 1 mana dealing 5, that's, like, just think about that. It takes 4 mana for a fireball to deal 6. That's a 3 mana cost difference. That's a pretty crazy combo to have. Even if you play them both on the same turn, you're essentially using an Arcanine and this card for 5 mana, killing off whatever you have on the board, and then you get a 3/5 on the board. So pretty good. Next we have the Light of the Naru. Light of the Naru, again, pretty interesting card. Essentially what it does is, if you heal a minion with this card and it does not get fully healed. So let's take, for example, this would work really well with a Injured Blade Master. Because Injured Blade Master, when he gets played, obviously deals the 4 damage to himself, so it brings us up from a 4/7 to a 4/3. Okay, but if you wait till turn 4 and you have both of these cards in your hand, you heal him up to a 4/6, and you get a Light Warden addition. In addition, this also applies for your hero. So if you are anything below 27 HP, you heal for yourself, you'll get a Light Warden. So not only is it a pretty okay, I mean, the heal isn't outstanding, it's 3, which is, again, it's not bad, but it's not great. But it's the fact that you also get a Light Warden that continually can get buffed, almost like a Mana Worm, and sometimes it can get blown out of proportion, and you can get a really big creature that can do a lot of damage pretty early on. So, it's not a too awful of a card. Next, we have Power Word Glory. Power Word Glory is a, let's just be honest, I think this card is awful. It's a 1-mana card that you place on a minion, and essentially whenever it attacks, it deals 4 healing to your hero. Now, is this a very easy way to play against? Yes, essentially it is. It's rather 1, he's going to kill off whatever that you put this card on. 2, he's probably just going to be out-damaging you. He's going to find a way to try and out-damage it. Yeah, you heal for 4, but if you attack for 6 in the face, are you really doing that great? Not too great. So, I mean, it's not really, I mean, there's a cool concept, but I don't think it's really all that spectacular. Oops, my bad. Did I miss any here? Alrighty, so we have the Lightwell. Lightwell, again, is essentially, I'm going to just call it the cousin of the Summoning Portal. No, I'm just kidding. It's just so yeah, basically what it is, it heals 3 to any damaged friendly character in, whether it's you or one of your minions. I mean, it's okay. It's a 0 mana for 5. Is it really good for tempo? Not really. Doesn't really affect the board that much. And it stinks because you have to wait till the following turn for it to really do anything. So it's okay. I mean, it's more so of a gimmicky card. Might be okay in late game when you're trying to save a bigger guy, but essentially it's okay, I guess. So next we have our Shadow Boxer. Shadow Boxer is a 2 mana 2/3. Whenever a character is healed, it does 1 damage. So necessarily not the whole healing aspect, but it responds to the healing, which makes you kind of be on the more of a defensive side. I mean, just 1 damage. It can kill off a 1-drop, probably kill off a 2-drop, maybe. But again, it's not really seen and constructed again, so it's, again, not really a huge viable card. So move on. Alrighty. Nothing really here on this side. There's the Arcanine, obviously, we was talking about before. Alrighty, so here's a pretty good one. The Holy Fire. So Holy Fire is a 6 mana, deal 5 damage, and restore 5 health to your hero. So what it essentially does, it's going to kill off most 4 or 5 drops, which isn't too bad, but it's also going to give you that buff of the 5 health, which again can escape anything from lethal, or just get you out of, like, in a spot where you're more comfortable with playing. You don't really have to be too nervous about your HP. So again, I think it's a pretty decent card. It's usually picked in most constructed decks or control priest that I see, and you know, I think it's a pretty decent, alright card. I think we missed one actually. Oh, my apologies, that's why. Here it is. So here is the basic priest board clear. Holy Nova. Holy Nova is essentially a 2 mana, and oh my goodness, my apologies. A 5 mana, deal 2 damage, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. So again, essentially, this is a very good partnering. If you have a board, you trade your minions into their minions, get them a little damage, and then play this after. What's going to do, essentially, it's going to heal your hero, it's going to heal your guys, and probably kill off whatever he has left on his board. So, you know, it's a decent combo card. It heals okay. I mean, the fact that it's an AoE heal is pretty darn good, I definitely admit. And, let's actually, so I apologize, I want to just go back and make sure I didn't forget any cards. Let's see. Alrighty. So essentially it looks like we got through all the healing aspects of this card. But there is 2 cards I just want to go over with you guys really quick. So we're just going to jump over to Google really fast and see 2 cards that is coming out in the Old Gods. So let's just go on here. I apologize, guys. I don't know how to type today. Alrighty. So essentially on Reddit, you can find all of the pre-release cards essentially right here. So it shows you a list of all the different legendaries, the rankings, all right here, how many of each class, and everything is sort like that. So actually, I was going to dive into the Paladin one, and it is right here. So, as you can see, Mr. Ragnaros the Light Lord. So essentially, the concept of this card is Ragnaros is a big evil jerk that lives inside of Blackrock Mountain. When the old gods corrupted, he turned into a good guy. No, this is not a part of actual Warcraft lore. This is just more of a creator card that Blizzard decided to pump out, which, you know, I think is actually pretty darn cool. So, at the end of the turn, restore 8 health to a damage-friendly character. You know, that's not too bad, I must say. That can essentially, yeah, if you have a Ragnaros on your board, and you play a Ragnaros the Light Lord, he might never die. That would be insane. Hitting for 8 damage every turn and then healing that same guy for 8 health. That could be crazy. But, is this a really viable card? Yes, absolutely, I'd say so. I think this is probably one of my favorite cards that has come out so far, especially for the legendaries and being a class legendary. I think it's a really, really cool card. So that's just, I definitely give that a huge plus to the Paladins on that one. Now, let's see. I can't remember which one it was. Oh, no, I apologize, it wasn't that one. Alrighty. So essentially, the Forbidding Shaping card, and this one right here, Herald Volsage, which for some reason does not want to show me the photo. Again, Herald Volsage is going to be an okay card, because if, for instance, you get a taunt with a Death Rattle. Again, this is more so talking in wild play, but for example, a Sludge Belcher, you can get a Ragnaros, you can get, there's a couple of different cards in this class. For healing aspects, there's not a whole lot to it, but I mean, there's a couple of combos I guess you could try and invest in, but not an intense amount. And then here we have the Cult Apothecary. Now this is obviously a neutral, but I mean either side can use it. And I just want to talk about it because obviously it's a pretty neat healing card. So Battle Cry: for each enemy minion, restore 2 health to your hero. So essentially, if you're versing someone like an aggro deck that has 2 or 3 minions already hitting you in the face, maybe even 4 minions, you play this card for 5 mana. Essentially, you're healing anywhere from 6 to 10 health, which is pretty decent in a aggro style game, and kind of gets you the tempo back a little bit. So, you know, I'd say this is a very viable card in both decks. I think both of them could make use of this, especially for going in a late game to kind of keep themselves alive, keep trucking along. But yeah, no, I'd say it's definitely neat. As for my class or priest, I'm going to actually give it a 7 out of 10. The only reason why I say that is because there's not as many ridiculous cards that are going to really get that healing aspect in there. So, for example, like Tyrion and Lay on Hands, I mean, those are pretty auto-include in most decks, and it's pretty insane, so. But yeah, essentially, that's what I'm kind of thinking on for that. I'd honestly give it to Paladin for the healing. So, and I mean, most people probably ask, you know, where's your Reno Jackson? Where's your Reno Jackson? I don't really want to auto-include Reno Jackson just because, I mean, he's useful in every single class. And again, he's more so in the fatigue or something of the sort where, yeah, it's gonna, yeah, fatigue or mill kind of deck. So mill rogue, fatigue warrior, mill druid, something like that. That's gonna make him viable. But yeah, essentially, so that's what I really have for you guys today. Oh, my apologies again. And yeah, that is what I have to talk about a couple of our classes. Next week, I was thinking on doing something between the weapon classes. So, possibly Rogue. You know, we're going to skip Paladin. We went over a couple of Paladins. We might touch upon a little bit. But we'll focus in on Warrior. And let's go with the Shaman. We'll be comparing a couple of things like Deathspite to Doomhammer, and then we'll go into the couple of the Old Gods weapon releases that came out in the past couple days. So yeah, you can look forward to that, and I will see you guys soon. This is Torag the Priest, signing out.